My name is Vivian Pierce, and I never thought I'd be plotting revenge against the man I've loved for 20 years. But life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. It was a typical Tuesday evening. I was chopping vegetables for dinner. The rhythmic thud of the knife against the cutting board a soothing counterpoint to the muffled sounds of Ada's TV show in the living room. The front door opened and closed, signaling Ron's return from work. "Viv, we need to talk," he said, his voice oddly strained. I turned, wiping my hands on a dish towel. "What's wrong?" Ron's face was pale, his eyes not quite meeting mine. I've been having an affair." The knife clattered to the floor. "What?" "With Leanne, my business partner." The world tilted on its axis. I gripped the counter to steady myself. "How long?" "6 months," he admitted, his gaze fixed on the floor. "6 months," I repeated, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. "And you're telling me now because—" Ron finally looked up, his expression a mix of guilt and determination. "Because I'm leaving you. For her." I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Just like that? 20 years of marriage, and you're throwing it away for what? Some midlife crisis fling." "It's not a fling, Viv. I love her. And—" He hesitated, then plowed on. "I'm taking Ethan with me." "Ethan?" I gasped. "You can't be serious." "Leanne has connections in the music industry. She can help him become a professional musician. It's what's best for him." "And what about Ada?" I demanded, fury rising in my chest. "You're just going to abandon your daughter?" Ron's face twisted. "Ada's different. She needs stability. And let's face it, her prospects aren't exactly bright." The slap echoed through the kitchen before I even realized I'd moved. Ron stumbled back, his hand flying to his reddening cheek. "Get out," I hissed. "Get out of my house, you selfish bastard." He left without another word, the front door slamming behind him. I sank to the floor, my back against the cabinets, as the magnitude of what had just happened washed over me. "Mom?" Ada's tentative voice came from the doorway. "Is everything okay?" I looked up at my daughter, her brow furrowed with concern, and made a silent vow. Ron may have shattered our family, but I'd be damned if I let him destroy our future. He had no idea what he'd just unleashed. "Everything's going to be fine, sweetheart," I said, rising to my feet. In fact, things are about to get a whole lot better. The morning after Ron's bombshell, I woke to an empty house. Ethan's room was stripped bare, his prized guitar gone. The silence was deafening. I found Ada at the kitchen table, her cereal untouched. "Where's Ethan?" she asked, her voice small. I swallowed hard. "He's gone to stay with your father for a while, sweetie." "Is he coming back?" The question hung in the air, heavy with implications I wasn't ready to face. "I don't know," I admitted. "But we're going to be okay, you and me." Ada nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. It mirrored my own. The next few days passed in a blur of legal paperwork and hushed phone calls. I hired a divorce attorney, my hands shaking as I signed a retainer agreement. This wasn't how our story was supposed to end. A week after Ron left, I received a text from Ethan. "Mom, I'm sorry. Dad says this is for the best. I'll call when I can." I stared at the message until the screen went dark, fighting back tears. My son, my baby, torn away by a man's selfish ambition. That night, I overheard Ada talking to herself in her room. "I'm not stupid," she muttered. "I can do things too." My heart clenched. Ron's cruel words about Ada's prospects echoed in my mind. I knocked gently on her door. "Hey, sweetheart, what are you working on?" Ada quickly covered her sketchpad. "Nothing." I sat beside her on the bed. "Can I see?" Reluctantly, she revealed a beautiful, intricate drawing of a fantastical cityscape. My breath caught in my throat. "Ada, this is amazing. When did you start drawing like this?" She shrugged, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "It's just doodles."
No, it's not.
"It's art. Real art." An idea began to form in my mind. "How would you feel about taking some art classes?" Ada's eyes lit up. "Really? You mean it?" For the first time in days, I felt a spark of hope. "Absolutely. We'll find you the best art school in the city. As I tucked Ada in that night, I made a silent vow. Ron may have taken Ethan, but he wouldn't define our future. I would prove him wrong about Ada, about our family. And if I had to tear apart his carefully constructed new life to do it, so be it. The game had changed. It was time to show Ron exactly what he'd walked away from and what he'd unleashed. The Westfield School of Arts was a beacon of hope in our newly fractured world. As Ada and I walked through its colorful halls, her eyes widened with wonder. "Mom, look at all the paintings," she exclaimed, tugging at my sleeve. I smiled, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. "This could be your work on these walls someday, sweetheart." The admissions director, MS. Patel, greeted us warmly. "Ada's portfolio is quite impressive for her age," she said, leafing through the sketches we'd brought. "We'd be delighted to have her join our program." Ada beamed, and I felt a fierce pride surge through me.
Take that, Ron.
As we discussed tuition, my stomach clenched. The costs were steep, but I'd make it work. I'd drain every last penny of my savings if it meant giving Ada this chance. Later that night, after tucking Ada in, I sat at the kitchen table, surrounded by a sea of financial documents. As I sorted through old bank statements, a crumpled receipt caught my eye. It was for a business dinner Ron had claimed as an expense, but the date— my blood ran cold as realization dawned. That was the night of our anniversary, when Ron had claimed to be working late. Fueled by a mix of anger and determination, I dug deeper. More discrepancies emerged: inflated expenses, suspicious transfers, clients that didn't seem to exist. A pattern of fraud began to take shape, hidden beneath layers of financial obfuscation. My phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. "Mom, things are weird here. Leanne keeps pushing me to practice. Dad's always stressed. I miss you and Ada." I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. My son needed me, and I was powerless to help him.
Or was I?
An idea began to form. If I could prove Ron's fraudulent dealings, I might have leverage, not just for a better divorce settlement, but to bring Ethan home. The next morning, I called an old college friend who'd become a forensic accountant. "Sarah, I need your help," I said, my voice steady with newfound resolve. "I think my ex-husband's been cooking the books, and I want to nail him to the wall." Sarah's response was immediate. "Send me what you've got. We'll go through it together." As I hung up, I caught sight of Ada's latest drawing on the fridge, a vibrant phoenix rising from the ashes. It felt like a sign. Ron had underestimated us, dismissed Ada's potential, and torn our family apart. But from the ashes of his betrayal, we would rise, stronger, fiercer, and ready to fight for the future we deserved. Ada's transformation at Westfield was nothing short of miraculous. Within weeks, her confidence soared, and her artwork evolved from simple sketches to complex, emotion-laden pieces that left her teachers in awe. "Mom, look." Ada burst into the kitchen, brandishing a canvas. "MS. Patel says I might get to show this at the school's exhibition." I hugged her tight, my heart swelling with pride. "That's incredible, sweetheart. I always knew you had it in you." As Ada's world expanded, mine narrowed to a laser focus on bringing Ron down. Sarah, my forensic accountant friend, had confirmed my suspicions. Ron's business was a house of cards built on fraud and deception. "We've got enough to take this to the authorities," Sarah said during our latest late-night strategy session. "But are you sure you want to go nuclear? This could destroy him." I thought of Ethan's increasingly distressed messages, of Ron's dismissive words about Ada, of the years I'd spent supporting his dreams while mine gathered dust. "I'm sure," I said, my voice steel. "He made his choice. Now it's time for consequences." The next morning, I met with my lawyer, Linda, armed with a stack of damning financial records. "This changes everything," Linda said, her eyes widening as she pored over the documents. "We can use this to negotiate a much more favorable settlement. And if Ron doesn't play ball, we go to the DA." I nodded, a grim smile playing on my lips. "Let's do it. I want full custody of both kids and a significant portion of the business assets. Ron can keep his precious Leanne, but that's all he gets to walk away with. Linda raised an eyebrow. You're not pulling any punches, are you? He certainly didn't, I replied. That afternoon, as I picked Ada up from school, my phone buzzed with a text from Ethan. Mom, I can't take it anymore. Leanne's pushing me to audition for this big competition, but I don't want to. Dad won't listen. Can I come home? My heart ached for my son, but I forced myself to reply carefully. Soon, honey. I promise. Just hang in there a little longer. As we drove home, Ada chattering excitedly about her latest art project, I steeled myself for the battle ahead. Ron had no idea what was coming. He'd underestimated me, written me off as a passive victim in his grand plan. But I was done being a supporting character in my own life. It was time to reclaim my story and my children's futures, no matter the cost. The war was about to begin, and I intended to win. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday, its official seal gleaming under the kitchen lights. Ada's hands trembled as she opened it. Mom, she squealed, her eyes wide with disbelief. I won. I won the Young Visionaries Art Award. I wrapped her in a fierce hug, tears pricking my eyes. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. You've worked so hard for this. As we celebrated with ice cream sundaes, my phone buzzed. It was Linda, my lawyer. Vivian, have you seen the news? She asked, her voice tense. Ron's company is in freefall. Rumors of fraud are everywhere. I glanced at Ada, still beaming over her award, and stepped into the other room. What does this mean for our case? It means we've got him cornered. He'll be desperate to settle. A grim satisfaction settled in my chest.
Good.
Push harder. I want everything we discussed. Later that night, as Ada slept peacefully, her award certificate proudly displayed on her nightstand, I scrolled through social media. A photo of Ethan caught my eye. He was on stage at some posh venue, looking thin and exhausted. The caption, posted by Leanne, gushed about his dedication and upcoming big break. My heart clenched. I clicked through to Ethan's profile, noting the lack of recent posts. Then I saw it, a comment he'd left on a friend's photo of a casual jam session. Wish I could just play for fun like that again. Miss the days when music wasn't all about pressure and perfection. Anger surged through me. How dare they push my son to the breaking point for their own ambitions? Just then a notification popped up, a direct message from Ethan. Mom, I can't do this anymore. Leanne's got me booked for this huge showcase next month, but I'm falling apart. Dad won't listen. He just keeps talking about all the money they've invested in my career. I don't know what to do. I typed back immediately. Hang in there, honey. I'm working on bringing you home. Trust me, okay? Setting down my phone, I pulled out the folder of evidence against Ron. It was time to accelerate our plans. I wouldn't let my son suffer another day under their toxic influence. As I worked late into the night, strategizing with Linda via email, I felt a shift in the air. The tables were turning. Ron's carefully constructed new life was crumbling, and I was poised to reclaim what he'd stolen from us. Let him feel desperate, I thought. Let him feel the ground shift beneath his feet. Because when I'm done, he'll have nothing left to stand on. The doorbell rang, shattering the peaceful Sunday afternoon. I opened the door to find Ron standing there, looking haggard and defeated. Behind him, Ethan slouched, his eyes downcast. Vivian, Ron said, his voice hoarse. We need to talk. I crossed my arms, blocking the entrance. About what, Ron? Your failing business? The fraud charges? Or maybe how you've been driving our son into the ground? Ron flinched. Please, can we just come in? It's all fallen apart. Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. As they entered, Ada appeared in the hallway, her eyes widening at the sight of her brother. Ethan, she cried, rushing to hug him. Ethan's face crumpled as he embraced her, and I saw tears in his eyes. In the living room, Ron sank onto the couch, head in his hands. The company's gone, he mumbled. Leah, she took what was left and disappeared. I've got nothing left. I felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, quickly followed by concern for Ethan. And what about our son's promising career? I asked sharply. Ethan looked up, his expression a mix of relief and shame. It's over, Mom. I can't do it anymore. I never wanted any of this. Ron's head snapped up. But all the money we invested. Enough. I cut him off. You've done enough damage. Ethan, honey, go upstairs with Ada. Your father and I need to talk. As the kids retreated, I turned to Ron, my voice low and dangerous. You have some nerve showing up here after everything you've done. I know, Ron said, his voice breaking. I've ruined everything. But Vivian, please. I don't know what to do. I thought I had it all figured out, but now you've lost it all. I finished for him. Your business, your mistress, and worst of all, the trust and respect of your children. Ron nodded miserably. Can we start over? Maybe if we work together. I laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. Start over? Ron, there's no starting over. You destroyed our family. You dismissed Ada's potential and pushed Ethan to the brink. And for what? Your midlife crisis and get-rich-quick schemes. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'll do anything to make it right. I stood, my resolve hardening. You want to make it right?
Fine.
But we do this my way. You'll sign whatever papers my lawyer puts in front of you. You'll get help, real help, to be a better father. And you'll face the consequences of your actions, legal and otherwise. Ron nodded, defeated. Whatever you say, Vivian. I'll do anything. As I watched him slumped on our couch, I realized the true victory wasn't in his downfall, but in the strength I'd found in standing up for myself and our children. The real battle was just beginning. The next morning, I sat across from Ron at our kitchen table, a stack of legal documents between us. The air was thick with tension and unspoken accusations. Sign them, I said, sliding the papers towards him. Ron's hand trembled as he reached for the pen. Vivian, please. Can't we talk about this? I know I messed up, but… Talk. I cut him off, my voice sharp. Like you talked to me before running off with Leanne? Or like you talked about Ada's future? He flinched, his signature faltering on the page. I was wrong about Ada.
I see that now.
And Ethan, God, I pushed him too hard. I just wanted… You wanted glory. I finished for him. You wanted to live out your failed dreams through our son. Consequences be damned. Ron's shoulders sagged. You're right. I've been a terrible father, a worse husband. But I want to make amends. Please give me another chance. I leaned forward, my eyes boring into his. A chance to what, Ron? To tear apart the life I've rebuilt? To crush Ada's newfound confidence? To push Ethan back into a world that was destroying him?
No,
You had your chance, I continued, my voice low and steady. You threw it away for your midlife crisis and get-rich-quick schemes. Now you'll face the consequences. As if on cue, the doorbell rang. Ron's face paled as I went to answer it. 2 police officers stood on our porch. Ronald Pierce. One asked, his expression grim. Ron appeared behind me, his voice barely a whisper. Yes, that's me. You're under arrest for fraud and embezzlement. As they led Ron away in handcuffs, I felt a complex mix of emotions, satisfaction, sadness, and most of all, relief. The battle was finally over. Inside, I found Ethan and Ada huddled together on the couch. Is Dad going to jail? Ethan asked, his voice small. I sat between them, pulling them close. Yes, honey. He made some very bad choices, and now he has to face the consequences. Are we going to be okay? Ada whispered. I kissed the top of her head. We're going to be more than okay. We're going to thrive. As we sat there, our little family unit battered but unbroken, I felt a surge of determination. Ron's actions had shattered our world, but from the pieces, we would build something stronger, something beautiful. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but we'd face it together. And this time, nothing would tear us apart. 1 year later, I stood in the bustling gallery, surrounded by Ada's vibrant paintings. Her latest collection, Phoenix Rising, was the centerpiece of the exhibition, drawing admiration from art critics and casual observers alike. Mom, can you believe it? Ada whispered, her eyes shining with pride. They're actually buying my art. I squeezed her hand, my heart swelling. Of course they are, sweetheart. Your talent is undeniable. Across the room, Ethan chatted animatedly with a group of music students from the local community college. After months of therapy and soul searching, he'd rediscovered his love for music on his own terms. Now, he was teaching guitar to kids at the community center, his passion reignited without the crushing pressure of stardom. As I watched my children flourish, I felt a tap on my shoulder. It was Linda, my lawyer-turned-friend. "Vivian, you've done an incredible job," she said, gesturing around the gallery. "How does it feel?" I took a deep breath, considering. "It feels
Right.
like we've finally found our footing." Linda nodded, her expression turning serious. "I heard from Ron's lawyer. He's up for parole soon." A flicker of the old anger rose in my chest, but it faded quickly. Let him try to re-enter our lives. We're stronger now. We know our worth. As if on cue, Ada called out, "Mom, Ethan, come here, please. Someone wants to meet you." We made our way through the crowd to find a distinguished-looking woman admiring Ada's centerpiece, a phoenix rising from swirling flames of blue and gold. "Mrs. Pierce," the woman said, extending her hand. "I'm Gabrielle Fontaine from the National Art Foundation. We'd like to offer Ada a scholarship to our summer program in Paris." Ada's jaw dropped, and Ethan whooped with joy, pulling his sister into a bear hug. As they celebrated, I felt tears prick my eyes. This was everything I'd fought for. My children, happy and thriving, pursuing their passions without fear or pressure. Later that night, as we sat around our kitchen table sharing pizza and laughter, I looked at the faces of my children. Ada, radiant with success, and Ethan, relaxed and genuinely happy for the first time in years. The empty chair where Ron once sat no longer felt like a void, but a reminder of how far we'd come. Our family had been shattered, but we'd rebuilt it stronger than ever. We'd faced betrayal, hardship, and heartbreak, but we'd emerged victorious, on our own terms. As I raised my glass in a toast, I knew that whatever challenges the future held, we would face them together, a family unbreakable, resilient, and filled with love. To us, I said, my voice thick with emotion, to new beginnings and to the incredible journey ahead. Ada and Ethan clinked their glasses against mine, their eyes shining with hope and determination. "To us," they echoed. And in that moment, I knew that we were going to be more than okay. We were going to soar.